Welcome to a new episode of Shadowing Pills, the place where you practice while learning fascinating ideas. Today's episode is Learning English Through Video Games, practical tips that actually work. Video games have always been more than simple entertainment. For many people, they've been an unexpected gateway to learning English, often without planning it and without pressure. In the past, many games were available only in English. If you wanted to play, you had to understand what was happening. Games like The Legend of Zelda or Final Fantasy required players to read dialogue, follow quests, and understand instructions just to move forward. There were no shortcuts. You learned by doing, by reading, by guessing, and by repeating. Today, the gaming world has changed, but the learning opportunity is even greater. One of the most effective ways to learn English through games is by choosing titles with strong narratives. Games like Shenmue, The Last of Us, or God of War are built around storytelling. They use natural dialogue, emotional expressions, and realistic conversations. You're not just learning isolated words, you're learning how English is used to express emotions, give instructions, solve conflicts, build relationships. This kind of exposure is powerful because language is always connected to meaning. Years ago, players didn't have many language options. If the game was in English, that was it. That difficulty wasn't a limitation, it was an advantage. Playing in English forces your brain to adapt. You start recognizing patterns. You associate words with actions. And over time, understanding becomes automatic. Modern games give you the option to switch languages. If your goal is learning, choose English and stay with it. Confusion at the beginning is normal. Confidence comes later. Story-based games are full of repeated structures. Characters explain missions. They react emotionally. They give advice. They warn you of danger. Reading dialogue carefully and listening to how it's spoken trains your ear and your intuition. Games like Final Fantasy or God of War repeat key expressions naturally, which helps vocabulary stick without memorization. The best combination is simple. Audio in English, subtitles in English. This allows you to hear pronunciation while seeing structure at the same time. Games like The Last of Us are excellent for this because the dialogue is slow, emotional, and clearly spoken. Avoid subtitles in your native language when possible. Immersion is what turns exposure into learning. This is where passive learning becomes active. Read dialogue out loud. Repeat phrases you like. React verbally to what's happening on screen. You don't need to sound perfect. You need to use the language. Speaking while playing builds confidence and muscle memory, two essential elements of fluency. You don't need to stop every time you don't understand a word. Guess from context. Let repetition do the work. Look up words only when they feel important or appear often. Games teach language the same way life does, through necessity and repetition. You don't need to play for hours. 20 or 30 minutes a day is enough to create progress. Language grows when exposure becomes a habit. Video games work because they remove fear. There are no exams, no corrections, no pressure. You're immersed in a story, you're emotionally connected, and your brain is open to learning. Just like in the past, when players learned English through games like The Legend of Zelda, today's gamers can do the same with titles like Final Fantasy, Shenmue, The Last of Us, and God of War, just to mention a few. So choose your game wisely. Play in English. Stay curious, and let learning happen naturally. Because sometimes, the best way to learn a language is to play. And that was the topic for this shadowing pill. Subscribe and turn on notifications to receive your next shadowing dose. See you next time.